You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZWLP Conroe and 106.1 KZCCLP Conroe and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Welcome one and all, and good afternoon. I am Jake LaFleur. I am your host of the show you are listening to, the wonderful and amazing Jake from Sports Talk. Here on Lone Star Community Radio, we are broadcasting from the Lone Star Community Radio studios from downtown beautiful Conroe, Texas. Can't get any better. It's bright and sunny out right now, and I just learned today that we're having a tropical storm headed our way, and I didn't know that prior to this morning. So, you know, I guess I need to watch a little more news. I'm out of the loop here on this one. And now I'm being awkwardly stared at by my station manager / co-host / engineer for the day, who is currently munching on some Cheez-Its.
When you find something under the studio desk, you eat it, right?
It's kind
of the rule.
6 months old. Are those the white cheddar ones?
Yeah.
Those are my favorite Cheez-Its.
Favorites.
Those are my favorites. Like I said, we are broadcasting from the Lone Star Community Radio Studios. You can find out more about my show and all the wonderful shows that the studio has to offer, whether it be a talk show like mine or the many other ones that we have between 10 to 3 p.m. every Monday through Friday, or the various music shows that we have here, like Mornings with Lone Star, which my station manager and co-host and engineer is the host of.
I am. And don't forget, Rick the Reluctant Cowboy comes after your show.
Yeah, he's up every weekday, Monday through Friday, from 3 to 7. Rick the Reluctant Cowboy. He has afternoons with Lone Star. That's what it is, right? Yeah, afternoons with Lone Star. So lots of stuff here. You can find out more about all these shows and more on irlonestar.com. While you're there, you can always listen live worldwide. And again, that's irlonestar.com. Or if you're in this beautiful city or beautiful county of Montgomery County, Texas, you can listen on FM 104.5 and 106.1. Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to my show on the various forms of social media like Facebook, Google Play, iTunes, or YouTube at Jake from Sports Talk. And you can also interact with me live during the show on Facebook or email me at jakefromsportstalk@gmail.com. All right, there we go. I've gotten all the liners, the promos, everything that I need to get out there so my station manager stays happy. How you doing today, Dick? You having a good Wednesday here?
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
You had an important meeting this morning, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I was with the Chamber of Commerce.
Ooh,
so I like to help out, volunteer, whatever they need help with.
Well, that's good. They do a lot for us here too. So we appreciate the Chamber of Commerce, the various ones that are around in this area. They do a lot of good work, so we do appreciate it. But anyways, well, let's get back to what we are here for, Sports Talk. It's another Wednesday. It's great to be back for another edition of Jake from Sports Talk. And it's great to have all you back here with me. I enjoy having you every Wednesday from 1 to 2 p.m. I was about to say Eastern. We were talking about the difference between Eastern and Central Time. I was giving Dick a little time lesson. For all of you, those listening right now, did you know that the state of Nevada does not have a time change? So that means the fight between Conor McGregor and Money Floyd Mayweather coming up this Saturday. It starts 9 Eastern. So if it's 9 Eastern, Dick, what time is that Central?
8.
Oh, yay, he got it right. And then it's a 2-hour difference between here and Nevada. So it'll actually start at 6, but that's main card. So the main card, we learned, has 4 fights on it, and I'm guessing that if it starts here at 8 o'clock, the McGregor-Mayweather fight will probably start about somewhere between 10:30 and 11, basing it off of kind of how the UFC schedule goes. It's exciting to have, that coming up this weekend. Lots of anticipation. Vegas, one casino came out and said they are currently, if McGregor were to win in a certain in a particular fashion, and I think it was knockout in like the 3rd round or the 4th round. Well, it was one of the earlier rounds. If he were to win by knockout in one of the earlier rounds, they would be on the hook for $3 billion for just that one specific bet. Not including, if McGregor wins or anything else like that. $3 billion, one casino only. So it's going to be an interesting fight. A ton of the betting money has gone towards McGregor's way because, I mean, what's the point in betting in Mayweather? You're not going to win anything if you win, but you're not going to win anything significant. So it's kind of pointless. But yeah, so we're back and we're going to talk some football today. I'm kind of excited about that. We have our first college football games coming up this Saturday as well, August 26th. Really happy to have college football back. I've got my I'm actually not even representing NCAA Division I football right now. I'm representing the FCS division with my burnt, or I don't even wouldn't call it burnt orange. I don't even know what kind of orange this would be. Tangerine orange, maybe. It's the Sam Houston Bearcat orange. I've got the blue little horsey to go with it. And then on my head, I'm representing the Marymount Saints of Arlington, Virginia. My brother played college lacrosse there, and so we're big fans. They don't even have a football team, so yeah, I'm really supporting the football NCAA pride right there. But we're gonna talk. The first AP polls were released this past weekend, and we will go through the top 25 with the segment called "A Real or Fake," where I tell you whether I think the ranking is legitimate, one or one to laugh at. So. Plus, public enemy number one in the NFL has some big news announced about his future this past week. So stay tuned to find out who that public enemy number one is and what implications this could have on the number one sport in America. And finally, hot off the tape, fresh off the wire, Kyrie Irving last night gets traded away, going over to the Celtics in exchange for Isaiah Thomas, plus a few other things we'll get into. We'll dive into that a little bit more too. We're going to talk about what that means for both the teams, for the Eastern Conference in the NBA, and for the NBA as a whole. What this is going to happen, or what this is going to imply, or if this is going to have any effect on the NBA as a whole. So, but first, let's look at what's happened in the world of sports since we last met in a week in a wrap. So, MLB announces this week that they are going to put into play a universal behavioral code for fans attending games that will start next season. This is something that has been coming for some time. They've already mentioned that they wanted to put something like this in place. It's kind of been pushed up, or rushed into process now due to a few incidents this year, especially the highlighted one from the very beginning of the year, practically the very beginning of the season, with the Boston Red Sox fans and the outfielder for the Baltimore Orioles and Adam Jones. Racial slurs being said his way while during play of game. So MLB is basically responding and saying, hey, look, we don't condone this. They're trying to stay ahead of the curve and not make the irrational jump to conclusion or irrational reaction, like, say, I don't know, ESPN with Robert Lee. If you haven't heard the story, go and just Google this really quick. Robert Lee is a broadcaster for the University of Virginia's ESPN station. So the ESPN station, that channel that covers the University of Virginia, they have Robert Lee as their main, or I don't know if he's the main broadcaster or if he's the color commentator, but they basically had a meeting with him. Everybody agreed, all parties agreed that for the first game, he should step aside and not broadcast the game due to his name. Now, I'm not going to get into the politics of the statues or anything like that. If you really want to know my politics and my beliefs, go listen to the show that's on before this one, today's rerun of it on YouTube. Go to Montgomery County Lifestyle and look up their 8/23 show. So today's date, Montgomery County Lifestyle. I talk a little bit more about that there, but I don't want to get into that on this show because the show is sports related. But the fact that ESPN but set aside this guy's career for potentially more than one game. We'll see how it goes on a just overreaction, complete overreaction. If you go and look at this gentleman, he is an Asian American. He has no resemblance of white heritage at all within his.
Well, wasn't his name Robert Ely?
No, I don't even think his middle name is E.
That's what I'm wondering.
I think it's just Robert Lee.
And couldn't you just call him Robert on the air?
Call him Bob.
Yeah.
If it's that big, call him Bob. I mean, come on. It's it's an overreaction on ESPN's part. It's quite hysterical in all reality. So
Well, it makes you wonder who's the one that originally go, hey, we might have an issue with this.
some PR freak upstairs at ESPN.
Do you think he did like a control F on all the roster of ESPN employees and said, who has names similar?
To Robert E. Lee.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of everything there. Because you can get out of slippery slope if you go that way.
Well, I've just, if you're a sports commentator, you usually have a nickname too, right? So
Yeah.
why can't you just call him by the nickname? I mean,
Yeah. Coach Bob. You could have gone so many different ways. So many different ways. Anyways, on to the next one. Odell Beckham Jr. suffers a high ankle sprain in the Giants preseason game against the Browns during the 10-6 loss for the Giants. The larger loss would be of Odell Beckham Jr. He could potentially miss, now they're saying, the first opening season game against the Dallas Cowboys. In other news from this game, we had over a dozen players take a knee during the national anthem of multiple, ethnic backgrounds, and every one of the players that was taking a knee had a fellow teammate standing behind them with a hand on their shoulder.
Wouldn't you say the biggest loss, though, for the Giants was actually losing to the Browns?
No, because it's preseason. It doesn't matter.
Oh, the Browns can't even have one win?
No, Browns will win. They won't be the worst team this year. No, the Jets will be the worst team this year, and I'm sure the Browns are very, very happy about that, because they're not going to be the complete laughingstock of the NFL. So that's good to hear. In other NFL news, Buffalo Bills Anquan Boldin will not play this year due to his retirement announcement, saying, "My life's purpose is bigger than football." That's very sweet and humble. Not a big deal as far as implications go. Bills are going to be the Bills with or without him, and that's going to be terrible. So NBA launching an investigation into the Lakers and Magic Johnson for tampering with the Paul George trade talks to in between the Pacers and the Oklahoma Thunder. Not a whole lot there because they're not going to be able to prove it. And if you get a chance today, go look up the unbelievable catch by the Little League World Series player for Pennsylvania. He's the center fielder, Jack Regney, and it's Regenye. In the fourth inning against Chinese Taipei, he jumped up and robbed a home run, probably the greatest catch of the year so far. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little soccer and a little basketball. We're going to get a Dick Schisler's soccer talk in for this month, hopefully. Hopefully that's all it is. Maybe it'll be more than 1 week. But all right, you're listening to Jake from Sports Talk here on Lone Star Community Radio 104.5, 106.1, and worldwide on irlonestar.com. We'll be right back.
Our talk shows and music shows are looking for sponsors. Want to expand your brand awareness? Reach the hyper-local audience in Montgomery County? Lone Star Community Radio sponsorships accomplish this. Want to see our stats and rates? Check out irlonestar.com/sponsor for more information. Or call in and leave us a message at 936-647-3776 with your question. Get seen on TV or YouTube and heard on our podcast, FM, and internet radio. Sponsor your local radio station with Lone Star Community Radio.
I had another person say that they really like this song. So have you officially come around on this, Dick? Are we there yet? Have I
Every time I hear it, I hear something different.
It is. It's awesome.
Maybe one day we'll get the people who created it in the studio.
We'll have to find them. Search. Where's my intern to do that? That's me.
And me. I guess right now I can look it up.
We're all no. You don't have to look it up because I need you for soccer talk.
Oh, okay.
It's soccer talk with Dick Schisler. We gotta come out with a better name than that.
Yeah.
We need something catchier than that.
Kicking it with Dick.
Kicking it with Dick. There we go.
There you go. I
Soccer
like it.
talk during the Kicking It with Dick segment. Woo! I like that one. So, what's on the soccer agenda?
Soccer agenda. I just wanted to talk about the new VAR system being implemented across professional soccer leagues. What VAR is, the video assistant referee. Did you hear anything about what this is?
I've heard a little bit, but for all MLB officials out there that are considering going to VAR, listen up, please. And my sister-in-law, listen up. This could be in baseball's future.
Well, it's funny because there was a lot of arguments with goal line technology a couple years ago, and with the World Cup coming up, they're really trying to solve some of the major issues commercially with soccer, which is the offside calls and the goals and the fouls and the diving. Diving's always been a big issue with soccer because a lot of people think it's pansies when people fall over and grab their face when clearly they get hit in the leg or something. So the FIFA as an organization is trying to figure out how to implement these systems fairly, and certain leagues have already installed it. The Major League Soccer is one of the first to have VAR, video assistant refereeing, and then the German league, Bundesliga, has done it. The Premier League is going to be doing it next year, and then I believe they slated it for the World Cup.
They've got it in place for the World Cup?
They're going to get it in place for the World Cup. Really what's cool about it, they have to be – in soccer, the rules of the refereeing is a huge responsibility for the one ref that you see running on the field. He is the main guy who makes all the decisions, all the final decisions, because he even does the report after the game because he gives out a little – basically a sheet of who he called out for, who did all the fouls. You always see him writing stuff down because it's really important to keep those things on paper because sometimes when they rule red cards and stuff after the fact, they actually use his notes. The four things they're going to be using the VAR system for goals. So basically every goal that's scored, there's going to be a video assistant referee up in the booth checking every single goal. That might not mean it's going to change or going to interrupt the game or anything. They're going to check the goal. Penalty decisions, red card decisions. It doesn't include yellow cards, so it's just red cards.
Why doesn't it include yellows?
Because they really I would say the respect of the ref, because the ref on the field has, like I said, he's the main guy.
Yeah.
So they don't want to take power away from that main guy.
Yeah.
And litigating down to yellow cards, that's too much time because you got to keep the flow of the game going.
Yeah.
Because red cards, you're pulling a player off the field. So it's important to make that the right decision.
And there's going to be some commotion behind it. It's going to slow down the game anyways.
Oh, yes. And then mistaken identity for awarding a red or a yellow.
What?
Well, it has happened in soccer before where the ref can't see everything on the field, and he gives the yellow card or red card to the wrong person. If anyone has on a computer right now, look up this really great moment. I believe it was a couple years ago, Arsenal versus Chelsea. The ref red carded a player named Karen Gibbs, who looks very similar to the person who caused the foul. And the commotion on the field was so confusing because if you can imagine, everyone saw who committed the foul, and the ref goes the opposite direction to this other guy and shows him the red card. And the guy's like, wait a second, me? Like, I was over here. Like, I was on the opposite end of the field. So it's pretty funny. Look it up. It's Karen Gibbs and Oxdale Chamberlain's mistaken red card. That's a good way to search it.
So I guess my concern would be that the appeal to soccer for me is that, unlike other sports, it's a finite clock, and it's very
yes. The time,
it's going to be 2 hours.
The time's
long.
actually kept by the ref, so
Yeah.
he writes down every foul. He keeps that in mind. So when they go in extra time.
But you don't think this will slow down the sport?
Well, that's what they're trying to figure out. So depending on the league, they're doing certain procedures. So for example, in the Bundesliga, the video assistant referee is doing all four of those things constantly, and he tells the ref yes or no.
Oh, so it's in real time.
So the ref on the field doesn't blow his whistle, stop the gameplay. Basically, he's just continue doing his ref business, and then he gets a yes or no.
And so, like, what if it's like a red card decision?
Well, if it's a red card decision, then usually it takes about a minute to even execute the red card because the guy has to get off the field and whatnot. And within that time, the video referee will tell him in his earpiece, no, you were wrong. It was actually whatever.
Yeah.
And he can retract the red card right then and just tell him to come back on. It's already happened a couple times for penalties because a lot of times when there's a penalty being called or not called, the change of play, sometimes the ball goes out of bounds. And when the ball goes out of bounds, that's when they go, oh, hey, it was a penalty, so we need to go over there and do the penalty kick. That's happened a couple times so far.
That's a little odd, though, to progress and play and then have to go back and do they put time back on the clock?
It's not as dramatic as you're making it sound. It's not like a whole 5 minutes could pass.
No,
No.
It happens pretty quick.
It happens pretty quick.
Okay.
And like I said, the video referees are always watching. So whenever there is a questionable thing about a penalty, then they look. So what they've done during like the Euro Champions, the ref is actually the one, kind of like similar to how the coach during football, they throw the red flag.
Yeah.
The red flag. That's what they tried out. Is the ref would actually go, let me do a little VAR situation, and that slowed down the game because the ref on the field would be the one initiating the decision, like saying, "Hey, guys upstairs, check it out."
And that would be my biggest concern as a soccer fan, because I don't want to lose that pace of play.
Oh, no.
And soccer is slow, in my opinion. Soccer is very slow in general.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to make it any slower for the consumer, especially if you're not in the stadium.
Yeah. So it's and what's important with these is keeping the pace going, especially with the players. Are part of the reason why the game's so slow is they might be arguing to do a video assistant referee call.
Yeah.
And that's just, you don't do that. Like, it's kind of funny. There's some funny mic'd up rugby league referees saying, like, this isn't soccer. You don't come up to me and complain.
Yeah.
Because they actually have really strict rules in rugby where the captain's the only one allowed to speak to the referee about any type of decision. If any other player goes up to him, they put him on the sideline for X amount of minutes.
Are you a rugby fan too?
Not really. I don't really follow, but it's a lot of fun to watch live. If you ever have an opportunity to go check it out, it's a lot of fun because it's just, I mean, these dudes hit really hard. Talk about concussions.
Oh, I'm sure.
But it's also, I just learned more about refereeing decisions because it's really interesting in soccer. That's one of the biggest complaints is everybody crowds the ref.
Yeah.
And so now it's almost a yellow card offense now, depending on the ref. If you come up to him and tell him to view it on video, but in the end, the main ref can call the final decision at any time. He's the one that makes the final decision. He can also make the call without VAR, so he doesn't have to listen to those refs.
So even if they overturn him upstairs,
If then they tell him like, hey, they're giving him the suggestion from the video assistant referee. Same thing with the linesman. And they always give their opinion. Because the ref can't see everything. But the ref can also take other things into consideration. Like, for example, say this guy's been hitting this guy the whole game. And say the foul that in question was a light foul. But he's like, you know what? Building up to this, he's been really rough. We got to get him off the field because he's going to be doing something stupid. And so we're going to give him his second yellow card or something like that.
I think that allows for some gray area, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, what's nice now in soccer, too, what they're implementing is post-effect cards. So, for example, if they review plays that are a red card, they go over it after the fact and say, we're going to give you a 5-match ban, 2-match ban, 1-match ban, or actually we're going to take it away. Nothing really bad happens.
See, and I don't have a problem there. When it comes down to the yellow cards, I don't like that it carries over to the next game.
That's just the way the league is played.
No, and I know, and it's how it's always kind of been. But it just
it keeps it interesting, that's for sure, and especially in tournament style play where it's crucial.
That's where
you want to be at the next game, and then also your registry, similar like in football, where you can only register so many players, and if you lose a player, then you're like, man,
you're down.
You're down. Yeah. But with this new system, it's kind of fun to see it because a lot of people complain about the offsides. A lot of people complain about the diving. And now they have a system in place where it'd be great to see the divers get
actually penalized.
Actually penalize a game or two. And some teams, it's crucial for those players to play.
Yeah.
So
they don't have the full man roster.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, MLB, listen up. I mean, we've got the technology. We can implement a robotic, or not a robotic, but a censored strike zone to where we don't need a man back there calling a ball that's 3 inches off the plate a strike. So
well, I disagree with that.
You disagree with that? You think you should have an umpire behind it?
I think the umpire behind it makes what baseball is. I mean, think about who argues the most with umpires. That umpire is probably like the one umpire when he argues that with. Am I correct? Like on most occasions.
Well, yeah, but
so you're gonna miss out on the cool arguments from the managers. So they scratch that, and then you don't get the human error aspect of the game.
I don't want the human error aspect. I want to be able to not have to go and be frustrated at an umpire because they can't. Yeah. I mean, we're doing it in every other base.
A bad experience in kids pitch or something?
No, me and umpires and referees have never got along very well. If my family and my coaches were here, they would back me up. Me and coaches have never got along.
Well, to leave the soccer talk, so that's being implemented in MLS currently. And so if you're watching soccer here in the United States, you can see this in action. Then if you watch the Bundesliga, see it in action. And expect it in the World Cup viewing because they're trying to figure out a way not to interrupt the flow of the game, but also to educate people what's happening.
Well, I wanted to ask you, speaking of World Cup talk, I wanted to ask you, the U.S. put a joint bid in the other, I guess it was 2 weeks ago now, for the World Cup in 2024.
Okay.
What do you think about doing a joint bid? You know, because I know like Brazil did it right. It was all Brazil.
Yeah.
So
Well, Brazil's pretty big.
well, so is the U.S.
Yeah. Well, I think it really comes down to the strength of the bid. And we've already seen so many different variations of like Qatar got it. And
Well, yeah, but
Qatar is tiny. And so that was kind of suspicious. How can they really support the influx of the amount of people going there?
Lots of drugs and money.
Well, yes. But I think doing if you don't know about the MLS, they're really branding themselves as Central and North America soccer. So we already have a couple teams in Canada, and Central America fans are really growing here for the MLS. A lot of the MLS signings are big. Are like we have a lot of the Mexican national teams, team players in the MLS. Those are the big few signings in the past year. Like the people who start for the United States, or not United States, Mexico's national team are playing in the MLS. So there's a huge group of people.
So, but prior to the bid, FIFA came out and said, no Europe, no Asia. And the only other country in South America, I don't think any of the other countries other than Brazil could have supported it. So Brazil's off the table. South America's off the table.
It's a smart move for.
Well, we would have been competing with Africa.
So.
And you don't think we could have beaten out Africa by ourselves?
I think if you're trying to guarantee it, then no. I mean,
Really?
yeah.
So we just need to send them
But I
like
also
60
think
pounds
that-
of cocaine.
I think that also the marketers know that if we do it together, it'll grow
No, and I
the
I
MLS
get it.
and soccer in the United States.
I get it, but as a traveler and as a soccer fan in the United States, am I going to be guaranteed that every game I'm not guaranteed that every game I want to see I'm going to be able to easily travel to? Because if I've got to go to Canada, if I got to go to Mexico,
Well, you would already have that in the United States anyway. They would be primarily on east and west coast, so you'd be traveling almost the furthest distance.
no, and
If it was
I
just
get
the
it.
United States.
I know, I get it, but it's more of a hassle to deal with customs and everything going through over a border rather than having it all. So I don't know. As a consumer, no, and I wouldn't go to any games. I like watching them at home anyways better. So
Well, I know some people who do. That's what they do. They go travel. A close friend of mine, that's what their family does. They all go to the World Cup.
I mean,
And-
that's cool. I would like to go to one eventually, and maybe by 2024 I'll have millions of dollars. I can go wherever I want, wherever the World Cup is.
But no, it's going to be fun. I think that's a smart move, business move for the longevity of soccer in the United States. Because
I'm not criticizing
like I
it.
said,
I just wanted to
a
get
lot
your
of the
opinion.
fans are from Mexico. A lot of the fans from MLS are from.
Yeah, I'm
Mexico,
not. Like I said, I'm not criticizing it. I wanted to get your opinion. I didn't know. It makes no difference to me one way or the other.
Yeah.
It was interesting that Trump came out and supported it. I thought that was quite interesting. So, but
he probably wants to test the border. That's probably what that's
probably.
all about.
Yeah, his wall will be up by then. So, the VAR testing, we can see that in action in the MLS this weekend.
You can actually see it tonight.
Or is it tonight? That's when the game is tonight?
You can see tonight. The games I'm going to let people know to go see is tonight is rivalry week on MLS. So the Dynamo is playing against FC Dallas tonight, and then they're going to be playing their real rivals, really, not connection-wise, but team-wise. A Sporting KC is a big rivalry because we meet them in the playoffs a lot.
Every year, yeah.
And it's so they're the real. To me, that's the real rivalry. Even though FC Dallas, of course, everyone hates Dallas or hates Houston, whatever. So that's tonight, and then this weekend, that's what's going on with the Dynamo playing Sporting KC on Saturday. The other big games this weekend, of course, is going to be Liverpool versus Arsenal in England. That's going to be probably the biggest game this weekend for neutral fans out there who want to watch.
So you actually have a game you want to watch?
I knew I came this time for you. The actual game to watch this weekend is Arsenal versus Liverpool, and then of course tonight it's gonna be a fun game. So because there's always a fight. FC Dallas versus Dynamo. There's always a fight.
Is that in Houston tonight?
I don't know. I didn't check. I just saw the rivalry week stuff and saw.
I think the
matchups.
last one was in Houston, so I'm gonna probably guess this one's in Dallas. So. But all right, and I know we said we were going to talk some basketball here, but we're going to go on over to our bottom of the hour break here on Lone Star Community Radio. You are listening to Jake from Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, post, ping, whatever, poke all the social media websites for Jake from Sports Talk: Facebook, YouTube, Google Play, iTunes, everything. Follow me, like me, and never miss me and my beautiful voice. We'll be right back here on Lone Star Community Radio.
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show. With monthly and weekly slots available on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776.
Welcome back to Jake from Sports Talk here on Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5, 106.1, and worldwide on irlonestar.com. I'd like to thank our very talented station manager. He is, we were kicking it with Dick on our soccer talk here on Lone Star Community Radio, here on Jake from Sports Talk. He does everything, anything. The desk that you see here, you built this desk, didn't you, Dick?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I mean, he's a craftsman. He started up this radio station all on his own. He's got 2 shows. He's a part of the Mornings with Lone Star that I was telling you about earlier, as well as his talk show on Thursdays from 12 to 1, the Ticket Stub. Become a stubby. Go follow them on irlonestar.com, Facebook, and all the other social media websites. Always a fun listen. I like that show a lot, too. I like your show and Nerd Thug Radio. If you get a chance to listen to Nerd Thug, I really enjoy Nerd Thug as well. So they talk about just anything and everything goofy and nerdy. So that's good. It's good. But yes, you are listening to Jake from Sports Talk. I am your host, Jake LaFleur. We're going to get on to, we're going to talk a little basketball last segment, but the soccer talk was good, so we kept it going. So we're going to quickly smush it in here with our NFL talk as well. So Kyrie Irving traded away to Boston for guard Isaiah Thomas and forward Jay Crowder, and I think one other player, and then a future first-round draft pick. Implications NBA-wise, well, let's start smaller. Implications for the individual teams, Celtics and the Cavs. Cavs aren't, basically this move is them admitting that, hey, look, we know LeBron James is leaving next year, and we're trying to do everything we can do now to prepare ourselves for the inevitable, leaving of LeBron and prepare for the future. Getting that first-round draft pick is going to be huge. I really don't think Isaiah Thomas is going to end up staying there after next year because he's going to want a max contract, and I don't think Cleveland's going to be willing to give him the max contract, not with the moves that they're making right now. Some of the other trades they've made, smaller trades, they've gotten some later round draft picks and stuff. They're going to really start to try to build for that future now that they know, or basically now that they're admitting that they know that LeBron's going to leave. Now, on the other side, the other end of the deal, as far as the Celtics goes, you're not getting any more help on the defensive side of the ball. You're getting a similar scorer as far as production goes. They score differently. They're different style players, but production-wise, they're about the same scorer. The only thing I would say is Isaiah Thomas is a better team player, as where Kyrie Irving is more a self-made man. So with Hayward there now, we'll see how that plays out. And the whole reason why Irving wanted to leave was he wanted to be the number one man. But Gordon Hayward was brought in to Boston to be the number one man. So I don't really understand why Irving, and I know Kyrie didn't have a say in where he was going to get traded to, but I'm sure they went and said, hey, look, this kind of makes sense for us. Would you be happy with this? And they said yes. Now, I am proud of the Cleveland fans. No burning of the jersey situation here this time. Yes, he was traded away, but just with the disgust and the anguish that has gone on between him and LeBron and him and the Cavs over the last month and a half to 2 months, basically since the draft, glad to see that the Cleveland fans kept it under control, didn't go rioting or anything like that this time, because they absolutely lost it after the decision. And I guess that was 2012. That was a long time ago. So, and LeBron sent out a nice little tweet, being kumbaya-esque as LeBron likes to be, hiding his true emotions and feelings. But in all reality, who knows? These two players could end up together again within the next year to 2 years. And this could have all been an elaborate hoax to get Kyrie traded away. in order to get rid of a few pieces here and there and to make some secret back behind the door moves. And speaking of behind the door moves, to quickly talk back a bit again, I rushed through it earlier because we were running out of time on the break. The Lakers situation with Magic Johnson and the tampering charges that are being alleged by the Pacers, basically with Paul George prior to his announcement to the team of the Pacers that, hey, I want you to trade me because I'm going to be leaving in a year anyways. There's no, what the Pacers are claiming is that they're saying, hey, look, you told Paul George that, hey, look, you're going to come play for us in a year once you're a free agent. So why don't you go ahead and get traded out of there because it'll be an easier transition for us. It'll be a better year for you, yada, 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 whatever the case may be. Where I have the hard part in finding out or in believing this story is that, yeah, maybe they chit-chatted, maybe they talked, but what could Magic have told him and said, hey, George, why don't you go ahead and just leave the Pacers? It doesn't make a difference. He was going to be a free agent in a year anyways, and unless he got traded to the Lakers, there's no benefit to the Lakers at all in this situation because they were going to get him anyways, and Indiana was going to lose him anyways. So if anything, the Lakers did him a favor and said, hey, look, why don't you go ahead and trade him away, and you can at least get something back for him. Now, it's not the Lakers' fault that Indiana made a terrible trade for him. That's the Pacers' fault altogether. So I don't. And then in addition to all that, there's no way you can prove this. I mean, you're talking about a conversation that happened behind closed doors, not on a phone conversation, not over message of any sort. So good luck. You're not going to be able to prove it. All right, on to the NFL talk now. The NFL's public enemy number one, Mr. Roger Goodell, found out that his future is a little more secure over the weekend. He is in the works. It hasn't been finalized yet, but it's going to happen. And getting a 5-year extension. Now, his current contract runs up to 2019. So if he gets a 5-year extension, it'll run up to 2024. The big deal about this is that when you hit that 2021 year, that's when the CBA is up. In response to basically all of what was announced that Roger Goodell was going to get that 5-year extension, you had the NFL's Player Association president, and I'm blanking on his name right now. He came out and he said that, yeah, look, we're going to have a lockout. There's going to be another lockout. It's inevitable. The NFL doesn't care about anything, doesn't care about our players, doesn't care about their safety, their future after the NFL. And it's just, and so he's basically saying, look, if you're not going to treat our players and our association with respect, then I guarantee you're going to have a lockout. And with Roger Goodell getting the extension, it's going to happen. So DeMarcus Smith Eric Winston, that's what it is. Eric Winston, that's the president of the NFL's Players Association, and he's not wrong. Mr. Winston isn't, in that you saw players get gypped out of their contract deal last time around, and in the last negotiations, they didn't get everything they were promised. They didn't get all the benefits they were supposed to get, and a lot of the retired players now are they're seeing more of the negative consequences from it. The concern is that they're basically calling for a change right here, right now. And you're not going to get a change right here, right now, because Goodell has no reason to make the change. And the players aren't going to go on strike now, because why would they? They did a poll, they did a test. The average player, 2 out of 5 are going to be still in the NFL that are currently in it right now in 2021. So that means 3/5 of your league will be gone. You'll have that much of a turnover. So why would the players now strike? It doesn't make any sense. They lose out on money for a senseless cause, right? I mean, now granted, they could be helping their future, NFL players, but yeah, who thinks about future, right? But no. So Goodell is getting that extension. That's a big deal. And when 2021 comes around, I think we thought there was a bad lockout the last time around. I think we actually only played 10 regular season games or 11 regular season games that year. Maybe 12. I think it was 10 or 11 though. I think we're going to see a potential full season because of the voices that are out in the NFL now. The players are so much more vocal about, issues of all sorts. I think the 2021 lockout is going to be one for the history books, and not just in the NFL's concern, but all leagues wide. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the college football AP poll. First top 25 came out this past weekend. We're going to go through a real or fake segment to tell you whether or not these are real rankings or not. So stay tuned to Jake from Sports Talk here on Lone Star Community Radio. I'm your host, Jake LaFleur. We'll be back.
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show with monthly and weekly slots available in Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776 to take your first step into the radio world.
Welcome back to Jake from Sports Talk here on Lone Star Community Radio 104.5, 106.1, and worldwide on irlonestar.com. Don't forget to follow the show, to like the show, to subscribe to the show on all of the various social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, iTunes. I think that's all of them. Go to irlonestar.com and check out the show page there. All the links are there, everything you can find on there. Or you can go and look up on all of those websites at Jake from Sports Talk. Very simple, very straightforward. If you want to get involved in the show, during the show, live on the show, yell at me during the show, whatever you would like to do, you can message me on Facebook at Jake from Sports Talk or send me an email at jakefromsportstalk@gmail.com. All right, so like I said before we went to break, we're going to talk about the first AP Top 25 release for college football. And to just basically kind of get into this a little bit here. So, like I said, the first games are coming up this Saturday, August 26th. We got Oregon State versus Colorado State, not very interesting. Portland State versus BYU, not very interesting. Hawaii versus UMass, not very interesting. USF versus San Jose State. Now, the only reason why this is slightly interesting is because USF is actually ranked this year at number 19, and we'll get to that here in a second. Number 14, Stanford is at Rice to open up the year. I may actually go see that just so I can go see Stanford, because that's always a fun team to go play. And then from there, it's the start of the football season. The following Thursday, so a week from tomorrow, August 31st. There's just a slew of games from the 31st through the 5th through the 2nd and everything like that. Not this Saturday, but next Saturday we'll have BYU versus LSU here in Houston at NRG Stadium. I almost called it Reliant. NRG Stadium. I will be attending that, so that would be a lot of fun. So, all right, top 25, number 1, Alabama. No surprise there. And actually, there's no surprise in the top 3. So 1, Alabama, 2, Ohio State, and number 3, Florida State. If I were to be a betting man and you said, all right, you can pick between one of these 3 teams to win the national championship, or you can take the field, I would pick one of these 3 teams. And the reason being is because it's gonna be a hard year for a lot of these teams. A lot of teams rebuilding. A lot of conferences are kind of down this year. So Alabama, Ohio State, and Florida State have a lot of returning players, and they've got the coaching staff and everything. And I think Michigan at number 11, we'll get down to them. I think Michigan at number 11 is getting a little slighted here. I think Harbaugh is a better coach than that. And I know they lost a lot of seniors last year, or not seniors, but a lot of people to the draft, a lot of players to the draft. I think they're going to be better than where they're at number 11. So number 1, check. Number 2, Ohio State, check. Number 3, Florida State, check. Number 4, we're getting to our first USC. No, thank you. Get out of here. We do this every year. We throw USC at the top 10, and we're like, oh my goodness, they're going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. No, come on. They haven't been good since Pete Carroll left, and I'm blanking on his name, cheated and won the Heisman Trophy. I don't want to hear it. Stop. No nonsense. Clemson. That's a hard sell at number 5, just because you're having to replace a big-time quarterback in Deshaun Watson. I'm not going to throw a big X on it, but I'm going to throw an X on it. I want to see what that offense is without Deshaun Watson. So, Penn State, excited to hear and to see Penn State in the top 6. I don't think they're going to remain in the top 6 as the year goes on, but I do believe they'll be in the top 10. I think they'll drop back a few spots. They've got, I mean, the Big 12 is pretty tough, and it's not an easy conference, especially when you got Ohio State in there. And I don't think Penn State's better than Ohio State. But I'm glad to see that Penn State's making a return since the Joe Pa era. Glad to see that they've overcome their sanctions. Oklahoma, same thing as the USC situation. No. Get them out of here. I don't want them up there. They're losing their coach. They're losing their starting running back and 2 wide receivers from last year's class. No, their offense is not going to be as dynamic as what it was. And I like instead the number 10 team, Oklahoma State, to finish up above Oklahoma this year. Washington, our first Pac-12 team, very interesting there. Nobody cares about Pac-12 football, so I'm sorry, that's not our first. USC obviously is our first Pac-12. I can't tell you a thing about Washington other than their coach used to coach for Boise State, so that's about the extent of that. I don't know how good they're going to be. If I had to take a guess, they're probably overranked because Pac-12 is not as good, not as strong of a conference, but I'll leave them as a equal sign, I guess, would be our other equivalent. Wisconsin, I like it number 9. Wisconsin's got a great ground game. Oklahoma State, I like it number 10. I think they're actually going to move up. Michigan, I like it number 11. I think they're going to move up. Auburn, Gus Malzahn has fooled a lot of people and has done a great job at smoke and mirror games. I don't think they're going to be that good this year. I think he's gone, and I think he's done before the end of the season as well. So sorry, Gus, but bye-bye. LSU, I don't like it 13. That's way too high for them. They do this to us every year as well. They're another one of those teams that, ooh, glitz and glamour, look at us, we're going to be so good. We've got an awesome running back. We don't have a quarterback still, so or at least one that we're confident in. And this is first year under O. I'm hoping to be, proven wrong and pleasantly surprised. But I gotta imagine this is going to be another 8-4 team. So that's I'm putting an X on them. I'm moving them down. Stanford, they lost some big players on the defensive side of the ball more so than on the offensive side. Even though they did lose McCaffrey. But again, it's the Pac-12. I mean, who knows anything about the Pac-12 unless you live in California, or Oregon or Washington. So, and I guess Colorado, but they don't really care about football. They're high up there in the mountains. So, moving on to Georgia. Again, another one of those teams that I think at 15, Georgia at 15, I'm going to probably leave or drop down. They'll be in the top 20. But again, it's another one of those teams where it's just the SEC, so we're going to throw them up there. Are they better than probably the average team? Yes, but I don't think they're going to end up with 3 losses on the year. And especially that entire SEC East, they're going to end up with 3 losses, 2 or 3 losses. You're going to have a 2-loss team probably win the SEC West or the SEC East this year. Louisville got a lot of hype coming in there after all the Heisman talk and everything last year, and we'll see how their offense does. I'm going to leave them as a check mark or an equal sign, leave them right there where they are at 16. 17, Florida. I think Florida's actually going to be better than this year. And I think Florida is going to be your winner of the SEC East. So I'm going to put them a check and move them up. Miami, I like where they're at. 18 is good, solid, leaving them. South Florida, 19. That's killer to see South Florida in there at number 19. I know nothing about South Florida. I'm not going to pretend to know anything about them. We're going to leave them where they're at. I'm going to assume the AP knows what they're talking about, but most likely they don't. Kansas State, Big Ten, lots of offense, no defense. They're too unpredictable. They're too hard to judge. I'm going to leave as an equal sign. Virginia Tech, kind of sort of the same situation over there in the ACC. I like to see them up there, though. Number 21, that's awesome. That's great for them. I'm going to leave them there. Perfect right there. 22, West Virginia, same thing, but I'm going to kick them up. I like them this year. Their offense is going to be back this year. Texas at number 23. Do we think it's going to be Tom Herman effect that quickly? I don't know. They got a lot of, junk left over from last year. I don't think they're going to finish in the top 25 this year. So let's not now. Listen, Texas fans, that doesn't mean you have to go scrutinizing Tom Herman right away. Give the man a chance to breathe. All right. Washington State, Pac-12, who knows, who cares? I'm going to leave them where they're at an equal sign. Tennessee, they're probably properly ranked at number 25. Who knows where they'll finish up. All right, that was a lot of games and or a lot of teams. Top 25 right there. Don't forget to follow the show, guys. Like it, bing it, everything on all the social media at Jake from Sports Talk, YouTube, Google Play, iTunes, Facebook, all that good stuff. If you like the show, if you don't like the show, send me your feedback. Email me on at jakefromsportstalk@gmail.com or on Facebook. Don't forget to check out the irlonestar.com website and find out what all IR Lone Star has to offer as a studio. It's wonderful, guys. This is Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5, 106.1 worldwide on irlonestar.com. This has been Jake from Sports Talk. I'm your host, Jake LaFleur. You have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye, guys. Thanks for checking out this podcast of Lone Star Community Radio, Montgomery County's community radio station. If you enjoyed this recording, make sure to check out our past shows online at irlonestar.com or their respective video or podcast formats on YouTube, Google Play, or iTunes. If you have any questions regarding the show, either it being about sponsorships or questions for the host, contact the station manager at dick@irlonestar.com or call the station at 936-647-3776. This show was recorded in downtown Conroe, Texas at the Lone Star Community Radio Studios, and Lone Star Community Radio reserves all rights to this recording and images.